Good afternoon, everybody. This is Don again. It is time for episode 34 of Practical Reality. It's a Saturday afternoon. I think it's around like 1:30 in the afternoon. It's been a very strange day, and actually the story of why this day is strange has something to do with the subject of this video. Last week, for those of you who watched, I did a video on my plan for personal evolution. And one of the things that I talked about was being on the spiritual journey and making sure that there's a destination for that journey. And part of that journey for me is I laid out a few different things that I want to achieve as goals for the destination of my spiritual journey. And one of those was being more patient with my wife, of course, but it also includes being more patient with myself and not losing my temper as easily. Because I used to have a big problem with anger. It caused me a lot of problems in my life, and I've learned mostly to overcome it. And what happened today is a classic example of the progress I've made, but also shows maybe that I'm getting a little bit older, and I should have thought of this earlier. So let me explain. Today is a day where it's like on the border of being a beach day. It's a beautiful day. It's only like 78 degrees, though. It's not necessarily the greatest beach day. So I decided to go anyway. But what I usually do before I leave the house is to check a website that I have on my phone for the rip current forecast. And I forgot to do that today. I was like telling myself, I don't care if it's, not that great a beach day, I'm going to go anyway. And I neglected to look at the rip current forecast before I left the house. And I was like 5 minutes from the beach at the most before I realized I should look at the rip current forecast, and bang, I opened the app up and update it for today's date, and it shows that the rip current forecast is for a high probability of rip currents today, which is not surprising since the last couple of days were kind of stormy, and that tends to make things unsettled in the ocean. So I look at this and I go, oh crap, why didn't I look at this before? But instead of getting really pissed off and pounding my steering wheel and screaming at the top of my lungs, which is the way I used to react to things like this, I just accepted it. I said, okay, fine, here we are. I'm not going to go to the beach today. I'm going to turn around. I went down to a certain intersection, went to the old New Jersey jug handle, and turned around and went left and went back to this gas station to go to the bathroom, and then I drove home. And I did not get angry. I simply told myself I had a nice 70-mile car ride today. And I listened to some music on a beautiful day. And I got home and went to the bathroom again and came back right down here to the park, where I've been hanging out for almost the past 2 hours or so, reading and just enjoying the beautiful day. So that is progress. That is the acceptance of the situation as it is. Now, I may very well go to the beach tomorrow. I don't know. I haven't completely decided. Going to the beach on Sunday is a little bit different because there's definitely more traffic on the way home, because the people who went for the weekend are on their way home. So I like to go on Saturday because you get traffic maybe going down, but on the way home, it's usually pretty good. So I haven't necessarily made up my mind. I may still go to the beach tomorrow, but that's not the real important point I'm trying to make here. The point is that I realized as I was driving home that I did not get all mad, that I simply kept myself in a present state of mind, just enjoyed the ride and enjoyed the music I was listening to, and went home, changed out of my bathing suit into these sweatpants I'm wearing to come in the park because I don't want the bugs running all over my legs while I'm sitting here. So now I'm just sitting here enjoying the beautiful day and accepting that this is where I am today. I don't have to be at the beach in order to enjoy myself, because it's absolutely gorgeous here. It is a 10 day. It is definitely a 10 day. There's no humidity. There's a light breeze. If you listen closely, you can hear the crickets in the trees. The river is right in front of me. It's absolutely gorgeous. So I have nothing to complain about, other than the fact that I ended up here almost completely by accident. But other than that, I'm great. It feels wonderful to be here, and I did make progress today on one of my goals, which to me is huge. So you could say simultaneously that as I stopped myself from getting all pissed off and cursing myself for being stupid enough not to look at the rip current forecast before I left the house, I'm also sort of achieving a couple of the other goals one of which is aligning my heart and mind, and the other one which is forgiving myself. I am not pissed off. I'm calling myself stupid on video for everyone to hear, but I'm not pissed off about it. I simply got back in the car, turned around and drove home, and here I am in the park actually enjoying myself quite well because I didn't have anything else really planned for this day. So what's the point? I should just come down here and enjoy myself sitting in the park and just have a wonderful afternoon until I absolutely get starving and I have to go home and have some lunch, which will probably be within the next, half hour to 45 minutes or so. But here I am today reviewing the goals for the week as I promised I would. So I have made progress in accepting things as they are. I have made progress in aligning my heart and mind. I have made progress in forgiving myself. And the big one, of course, I'm trying desperately to make progress in being more patient with my wife. And that was a test this week. As one thing I did not mention in last week's video was that David Deida, the book by David Deida, I can't remember the title of the book right now, but being the rock in the river means that that you're being tested all the time. It means that you're being tested. It means that you are steady. You are the force. You are the rock that your wife can look up to for that steadiness and that consistency that does not introduce further chaos, that, conducts himself in a calm fashion. So there was a test earlier this week. Let me explain the whole situation. My wife likes to go visit her brother in the city, which is about a 2-hour commute for her. She takes the train first to Penn Station, and then she takes a train from Penn Station out to Flushing, Queens on the 7 train, which I think is almost one of the last stops on the 7 train. So it's about an hour ride from Edison train station to the New York Penn Station in New York, and then another hour on the 7 train out to Flushing, Queens. She likes to go there once every 2 weeks or so, maybe 3 weeks. I try to get her to be like 3 weeks, once every 3 weeks, but she likes to go once every 2 weeks. So once in a while we have a little bit of an argument over that. Sometimes I feel like she wants to leave me, you know what I mean? But it's really not that. And you see, that's part of the growth. That's part of the realization that she does love me, but I'm not the only person in her life. And unfortunately, really the situation that I'm in, I don't have many friends that I can actually speak to or that I can actually go hang out with. She is the main person in my life. So I do miss her genuinely when she goes away. And it's only for one night. And so what happened this week is she wanted to go on Wednesday night and take off on Thursday, which meant I had to change my schedule to take off on Thursday instead of Friday, which is what I usually do. So I just emailed my boss and told her I'm taking off on Thursday instead of Friday. And I actually resisted it at first. I said, why are you doing this? I mean, you don't have to do this now. You don't have to go every 2 weeks. And then I realized, it's not worth fighting over. And, I remember a couple people have told me during my life that in a marriage, you fight the battles you can win. And there is no winning in this battle. Because if she wants to go to Flushing, she's going to go to Flushing. And it's either going to be on good terms or bad terms. So why fight? There's no point to it. So I just said, okay. And it actually ended up pretty good. And it actually ended up good for a couple of different reasons. Because what we did was, our usual routine is she came home early. She made an effort to get home early. She was home by like 11:30. And what we did then was go straight to play tennis. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this before in any of my videos, but my wife loves to play tennis. And she's not very good, but she tries hard. And that's another thing I can't deny her. I don't necessarily get the greatest workout. I don't necessarily I can't say I don't enjoy it, but it's not like the challenge that I usually look forward to when I go to play tennis. Because what I'm doing is really instructing her. And I'm a teacher, sort of naturally anyway, so I teach her how to play tennis. And she's making progress, but it's like the progress that a turtle makes when he's migrating to the ocean from the middle of a forest. I just watched something on Nat Geo like 2 weeks ago about a newborn baby turtle born in the forest that takes like 2 months to go a few hundred yards to get to the beach. And that's the way it feels like with my wife sometimes. But I love her to death. So we went out and played tennis, and then we went and did food shopping. And as soon as we got back from food shopping, as a matter of fact, as we were unpacking the bags from our car, it started pouring. And then it poured till like 6 o'clock in the evening. So what happened was, my wife had originally thought maybe we should go play tennis later on in the day and do the food shopping first, but we didn't. And the reason she wanted to do that was because it was ungodly humid out again on Thursday morning. It was really wicked. It was only like 80 degrees, but it was so humid, you were dripping after like 5 minutes. But we ended up playing tennis for like an hour and a half and enjoying ourselves, and she actually did well. And she's getting better and she's getting more consistent, so it was a good thing. So I won. I didn't win the argument, but I won the situation because I let her do what she wanted to do, and she in turn appreciated it, and she showed her appreciation. And then last night there was another test. She had to work late at the mall. She was because she went to work on Friday. The mall is open until 9 o'clock on Friday, just as it is on Saturday, which on Saturday I'm used to, but Friday I'm not. So I get a text at 8:30. Oh, I have to work until 9:30. And that used to drive me bananas. 4 or 5 years ago, that would have driven me bananas. I would have been cursing and screaming at her behind the wheel as we drove home, saying, why did you have to freaking work late? We don't have that much time together on this day. It's very important to me to spend this time together. So why are we doing this? Why are you working late? Don't you understand? Don't you understand how much I love you? This kind of thing. That's the kind of things I used to say to her. So what I did last night was I simply watched tennis on TV. Another half hour. I just waited till like 9:15 to go pick her up. And then there was traffic on Route 1 because they were doing road work. I think they're probably going to be doing it every night from now on, so I have to leave a little bit earlier or find another way to go. But the whole point is, I got her in the car. I did not yell. We simply went home. We watched TV for 45 minutes or so, or maybe an hour, went to sleep, and everything was hunky-dory. And she appreciated it, and she showed me how much she appreciated it, which is nice. And that's really good because that builds love, and that's the kind of person she wants, and that's being the rock. I don't let the little things, like stupid little things like that, bother me. I'm not triggered as easily anymore, so I am making progress. I have personally evolved, and I'm proud of that. And it's funny today, it's almost funny, it was like karma today on the way to the beach. Before I looked at the Rip Current forecast, I went down a road that would not be the way that most people would go to the beach. But on this road that has existed for a very long time before the Garden State Parkway, there's a drawbridge. And on the way down and on the way back, I caught the drawbridge being open. I had to sit probably like 7 or 8 minutes for the drawbridge on the way down, and like 5 or 6 minutes for the drawbridge on the way back. And again, under normal circumstances, if I was the old self, I would have gotten mad as hell. I would have been screaming and cursing and this kind of thing. But I didn't. I just sat there, had the music on, and took a few deep breaths. And I actually, while I was waiting for the drawbridge on the way down, I opened last week's episode about personal evolution and listened to like the last 10 minutes of it. And that helped me to realize who I need to be and why I shouldn't get all angry about what was going on at that particular moment. So now, if you are listening to this video and reflecting on your own personal evolution, which I hope you are, I want you to think about the progress that you have made, if any. And if you haven't made any, how are you going to start? It's really that simple. There's people ask me all the time, or I should say, I tell people all the time, you have two choices in life. You can be nice, or you can be an asshole. And that's all there is to it. And to stop being the second, to not be an asshole, requires you to think. Being an asshole is the path of least resistance. Just being a jerk to people, treating them badly, that's the easiest thing to do. Being nice, being considerate, being evolved takes work. So how are you going to do that for yourself? That's really the choice that you have. You can be nice or you can be a jerk. And that really is the choice. And being nice takes work. And if you're going to be an evolved person, you have to do the work. And as I said last week, all these other goals you set for yourself, all these other admirable and achievable and measurable goals, I'm not criticizing any of them, but how much do they mean if you don't evolve along the way? How are you going to measure your personal satisfaction with the achievement of these goals if you don't feel like you've evolved during the journey? Because you can, as I said in last week's video, you can still get to the places, you can still achieve the goals that you have set out for yourself. But if you have not personally evolved, then you're still going to be feeling a lack somewhere deep inside of you. And that is going to make the goal feel less fulfilling, less satisfying. And you don't want that for yourself. You want to be able to feel as if everything is great, like you're firing on all cylinders as you achieve each of these goals. And that's what I want for people. That really is what Eckhart Tolle was referring to at the end of his book, which was A New Earth. He was talking about how the coming revolution is the personal evolution of each person, okay? So that is what really you should be aiming for, and to be the best version that you can be of yourself on a daily basis, your personal evolution should be something that you're conscious of at all times. And whether or not I'm conscious of it at all times is an open question, okay? But I am at least aware of the fact that I should be thinking about it. And if you are doing the same, then you are making progress. And forgiving yourself for not making progress is making progress, okay? Sounds a little bit counterintuitive, but it is true. So if you are real with yourself, if you really want to make that progress, then you will forgive yourself and you'll allow yourself to grow by examining each of the goals you have set out for yourself in the context of your personal evolution, in underneath sort of like that framework as to whether or not you're going to be real with yourself and how much satisfaction you're going to derive from each of the goals that you set out for yourself as you achieve them. Are you going to feel just as empty as you did when you started, or are you going to feel fulfilled because you have put yourself on a spiritual journey that includes your personal evolution along with the achievement of more material, more measurable, more tangible goals? That's a very important question. Now, the one thing that I did not address so far in this video is making myself uncomfortable. But in a way, I made myself a little bit uncomfortable this morning because I turned around and came home. I could have gone to the beach, but what would have happened is I would have been sitting on the beach worrying about the rip currents, because where I go to the beach, there's no lifeguard. So I would have been worried the whole time. I would have been worried every moment I got in the water. It would have ruined the experience for me. So I was a little uncomfortable with turning around and coming home, but that's still not really making myself uncomfortable. So I have much more work to do on that. And as I said last week, that's the most difficult one for me. I am still somewhat of a slave to my routine. However, that's a bit of progress, because that means that my personal evolution is part of my routine. I still look upon that as a daily chore. I shouldn't say a chore, a daily task that I have as part of my daily plan. So that is progress. So how much progress are you making in your own daily goals? Let's be honest with each other. Let's be vulnerable with each other. Let's admit the truth to each other. And let me know how you're doing. I'd really love to know, because I'm letting you know. And that's the subject of this week's video. I hope everyone enjoys this. I hope everyone listens and understands how much I care about you, how much I care about your happiness, your inner peace, your control of your internal environment, your self-determination to create the kind of world you want to live in for yourself on a daily basis. Thank you. Like, comment, subscribe, say anything you wish. I would respond as well. Have a great day. Peace, prosperity, beauty to all of you.